All right, welcome to Talkin' Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk to you about Core Scientific, stock ticker CORZ. These guys are a Bitcoin mining company, and we talk about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. So if you're new to the channel, or if that's content you're interested in, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody please do us a favor and smash the like button, that helps out the video a lot. It helps out with the algorithm and it just helps it get out to more people. So I would appreciate that. Lastly, there's a link in the pinned comment below to our free Discord. So we have a huge conversation going on over there. We got over 700 people, so we'd love to have you join us over there as well. Okay, I want to talk about Core Scientific. They put out their monthly operational update for June, and there was a massive amount of stuff in it. So they did a lot of big things in June. I want to go through all the numbers, talk about what they did, how it affects their business, and where do they go from here. We're going to look at the monthly update, and then I've also put a few charts together myself. We're going to take a look at those because I want to analyze what these guys are doing on a month-to-month basis, and then we'll take a look at the charts. So let's start out by looking at the monthly update. Okay, I'll try to go through this quickly, but they did an awful lot this month, so there's a lot to talk about. Core Scientific announces June updates. July 5th, 2022, operating over 180,000 owned and co-located ASIC servers. So remember, that is their total number. They host a lot of servers, so we'll talk about that number later. That is not really their important number. Okay, they produced 1,106 self-mined Bitcoin, so that is an important number. That's the amount of Bitcoin they mined from their machines that they're operating for themselves, not their hosting machines. And I want to compare that to what they've done all year because there's something a little bit off with that number in my opinion. Daily self-mining increased by 14% from June 1st to June 30th. So they're saying at June 1st they were mining about 34.8 Bitcoin per day, and by June 30th they were mining 39.8 Bitcoin per day. So that is the number I'm going to dig into more deeply because something's not making sense there at all. In my opinion, we are going to need to wait until July and maybe August results to see what's really going on here, because you're going to see that 34.8 Bitcoin per day on June 1st is a curious number. I've made a chart that explains that. We'll look at that next, but let me keep going. Okay, second quarter earnings release and conference scheduled for August 11th. So that's about a month from now. We won't even get into the financial statements yet. Throughout June, we continued to add data center capacity, grow our self-mining assets, and deploy additional co-located ASIC servers for our customers, said Mike Levitt, Core Scientific Chief Executive Officer. Our industry is enduring tremendous stress as capital markets have weakened, interest rates are rising, and the economy deals with historic inflation. Our company has successfully endured downturns in the past, and we are confident in our ability to navigate the current market turmoil. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at. We're working to strengthen our balance sheet and enhance liquidity to meet this challenging environment, and continue to believe that we'll be operating in excess of 30 exahash in our data centers by the end of the year. Now remember that 30 exahash is not self-mining. That is split between self-mined and hosting. So we'll talk about how much there actually be self-mining. Okay, so here's the self-mining portion. Core Scientific self-mining operations produced 1,106 Bitcoin in June, an average of 36.9 Bitcoin per day, a slight increase from the prior month. Bitcoin production benefited from server deployments during the month, but production advances were limited by a substantial increase in curtailment activity. Daily production increased approximately 14% during the month of June, from 34.8 Bitcoin on June 1st to 39.8 Bitcoin on June 30th. So we're going to talk about this curtailment activity because it is now the heat of summer, and it seems like this is having more of an effect than I expected that it would on their mining operations. And I'm going to break down the numbers just to show you exactly what effect it's having. Okay, so at the end of the month, the company operated a self-mining fleet of approximately 103,000 ASIC servers producing 10.3 exahash. So they are at 10.3 exahash. That is by far the leader of all publicly traded North American miners. The company expects to deploy another 70,000 additional self-mining ASICs over the next 6 months. So we're halfway through the year. This would be the second half of the year. And then they're saying approximately 90% of the cost of those additional servers has already been paid. So that is a key number. So they have 90% deposits on another 70,000 machines, which should put them somewhere over 17 exahash at December 31st if they can stay on this plan of self-mined Bitcoin. So that would keep them on track to be the largest Bitcoin miner. There are a few other Bitcoin miners that have plans to get over 10 by the end of the year. Some of them are going to reach those, some of them may not. These guys are already already over 10. They're at 10.3. So I would expect that they would remain the largest Bitcoin miner in exahash rate and Bitcoin mined from now till the end of the year, but we will see about that. Okay, now this next section, here's some numbers that shocked me. Bitcoin sales. During the month of June, the company sold 7,202 Bitcoin at an average price of $23,000 per Bitcoin for total proceeds of approximately $167 million. So in the last 2 months, they have now sold 10,000 Bitcoin. That is the vast majority of their hodl position. And they had been holding all their Bitcoin for pretty much all of 2021 and the beginning of 2022. But obviously they have made a 180-degree reversal, and they've now sold, just in this month alone, 7,202. They sold about 2,600 and something last month. So all told, that's about 10,000 Bitcoin. Now, they did generate $167 million in cash on this. So they held 1,959 Bitcoin and approximately $132 million in cash on its balance sheet. So that is a very big update to give. They've given us their liquidity situation all the way up through June 30th, which is just a few days ago. So we can see with the sale of all those Bitcoin, they do still have significant liquidity, which is important because these guys have a lot of overhead, and we're going to take a look at that as well. It looks like CORZ Scientific is positioning themselves to mitigate their risk to the downside and try and eliminate or at least minimize any risk of going out of business, because this shift in hodling, selling 10,000 of their Bitcoin, was a pretty drastic measure, and it did raise a lot of money. And you can see at the end of June 30th, they still had $132 million on their balance sheet. So that helps. Right now, liquidity is king. However long this bear market or crypto winter or whatever you want to call it lasts, a company's liquidity is the only thing that is going to get them from one side to the other, because if the price of Bitcoin is down sufficiently, there's really very little gross profit to put towards overhead. And obviously, potentially, if Bitcoin goes low enough, and I'm not expecting this, but if Bitcoin could get to the point where these companies are generating no gross profit. So they have to have a strong liquidity position. They're not going to be able to raise money through debt because this company is already highly leveraged. They're not going to be able to raise money through equity because their stock is now trading just $1.50. So really what that leaves is, as the gross margins shrink on Bitcoin, their liquidity on their balance sheet is what's going to get them from here to the end of whatever we're dealing with right now. So it does look like they've strengthened that position significantly. However, it was at great cost. They did have to get rid of almost 10,000 Bitcoin. So obviously this can't continue. They only have 1,959 Bitcoin left. Okay, so they finish up by saying proceeds from the Bitcoin sales in June were primarily used for the payment of ASIC servers, capital investments in additional data center capacity, and scheduled repayments of debt. The company will continue to sell self-mined Bitcoin to pay operational expenses, fund growth, retire debt, and maintain liquidity. So they are in sales mode. They may get down to the point where they have no Bitcoin and they just sell them as they get them. Obviously, they need to do whatever it takes to stay afloat because this is a massive, massive organization. So if they can get to the other side of whatever this bear market or crypto winter is, you can see they already have 10.3 exahash. They've paid 90% deposits on another 7 exahash. So that gets them, over 17 exahash. In a healthy Bitcoin, that's going to put them in an incredibly good position. However, unfortunately, to get there, it looks like they're going to have to sell most or all of their Bitcoin to stay afloat. I tried to do a quick analysis of just converting their income statement to a cash basis because, again, liquidity is what they need. It doesn't matter if they're making a profit or a loss on paper. They need the cash to get to where they're going. So it looked like, based on Q1, that their cash requirements are about $40 million, and that's their overhead. That does not pay for their direct costs on Bitcoin. So that equated with the amount of Bitcoin that they generated, that equated to about $11,000 per Bitcoin. So it did look like also their cost per Bitcoin was somewhere between $9,000 and $10,000. So it looked like their cash per Bitcoin was somewhere around $9,000. So the $11,000 plus the $9,000 is $20,000, which means if they sell their Bitcoin, they're breaking even at $20,000. Now remember, they do have $132 million of cash in the bank. So if they need to make up the difference, if Bitcoin dips below 20,000, they do have that reserve to get them through that. The other thing I wanted to look at is, you can see they talked about curtailments, and I don't know if that's the only reason. The Bitcoin difficulty level has been fairly stable for the last 2 months anyway. Yet if we look at this chart, Bitcoin mined per month, this is the first quarter. January, February, and March, they mined 3,201 Bitcoin, so that was for Q1. In Q2, they mined 3,365. That's very, very close to the same number. And what I really want to focus in on is March. In March, they mined 1,143 Bitcoin on 8.3 exahash. In June, 3 months later, they mined less Bitcoin than that, 1,106 Bitcoin on 10.3 exahash. So the difficulty level did not change very much in that period of time. So this is not accounted for by an increase in difficulty level. Their increase in exahash rate well outpaced the increase in difficulty level. So I don't know if the rest of this is curtailment. I'm not sure what's going on, but clearly they are less of an efficient Bitcoin miner today than they were 3 months ago. So they did say at the end of June they were at 39.8 Bitcoin per day. So if they can maintain that pace, that actually would be an increase over all of these months. So we'll see if they can maintain that pace going forward because they continue to increase exahash. The last 3 months have been very sideways from a production standpoint. Okay, let's take a quick look at the chart. All right, right now Bitcoin, and we're in the middle of the trading day today on July 5th. Right now, CORZ Scientific is trading at $1.58. So it's up a little bit on the day. That's about 4.5%. Most of the miners are up a little bit. Bitcoin is up a little today, but nothing dramatic. But you can see this leaves them very near their all-time low. They got down to, a few days ago, they got down to $1.40 per share. On May 12th, which was just over a month and a half ago, Bitcoin had a flash crash and CORZ Scientific hit its all-time low. And that all-time low was $3.09. They are now trading for half that. They're trading for $1.58. And they got down as low as $1.40. So even at this all-time low, after having a monumental pullback, they're down another 48.5% since that day. And since the beginning of June, they're down about 56% because they had rallied a little bit. So this stock, more so than most of the rest of the group, has gotten beat down over the last month. You'll see CORZ Scientific was down 32%. This was measuring just the last 2 weeks of June. CORZ Scientific got hit very hard. I think the risk assessment on this company changed dramatically in the month of June, and their stock price has paid accordingly. They're down over 90% from their all-time high. This was a SPAC that just converted to a publicly traded company, so down 90% in a short period of time, 6 or 7 months. So the last number I'm going to look at is from March 22nd. So that was just a little over 3 months ago. CORZ Scientific is down almost 84% in that period of time. So this is a significant pullback. You can see the stock is essentially priced to fail. I don't think anybody believed that CORZ Scientific was going to be at $1.59 a share, but that is where we are. I certainly did not see that coming. So again, this is not financial advice. I'm not going to give any price targets because right now Bitcoin is going sideways and down, and the downward pressure has been endless. So I don't think there's any point about talking about upside in the meantime. For now, what I'm trying to look at with all these Bitcoin miners is how are they positioned to get through the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever it takes to get to the other side of this crypto bear market that we're in. So this stock is down massively. So please do your own due diligence and be careful. It looks like they're doing whatever they have to create the liquidity to survive. So we'll keep you guys up to date. I will do this again next month, and if anything major happens in the middle, I will do a video on that as well. So if you made it to the end, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell and smash the like button. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.